All right. Hello, 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 hello. Sean Brady with another fabulous episode of, yes, Leverage Your Lunch Hour, but also the metaphysical mindset, because we have the one, the only, the fabulous Dr. Laurel Fuller Clark. Laurel, how are you again?
I'm great, Sean. How are you today?
I am fabulous, and I say again because we just had a previous episode.
Right.
And now we're talking about the universal laws. And if this is the first episode that you're watching, totally fine. What I've learned about the universal laws is that they apply to everyone on the planet, just like the law of gravity. You can't escape it. It's right there. You can't say I'm using the law. It's just there. You're aligning with it or you ain't aligning with it. And it does apply to everybody. And I think I just keep getting better and better at this. What do you think?
I think you're great. I think you could be teaching universal law yourself.
Well, I can certainly parrot what you teach us. So definitely keep it going because I want to parrot more of your cool stuff. So for those that don't know, Dr. Laurel Clark has been working with metaphysics, specifically the School of Metaphysics, for over 4 decades. She's authored and edited dozens and dozens of books. She's, I think, you've written, 11 on your own?
7 I wrote on my own.
7.
Contributed
merely 7.
Right.
Merely 7. And edited many, many more. And it's a privilege for me because I just learned so much every time I'm with you, Laurel. So thank you. Thank you for being here again. And this is definitely a subject that I think I might have an inkling of, and I know I read about once or twice, but duality. What is duality, and certainly as a universal law?
So thanks for having me on your show. I love your questions and being able to share knowledge with the viewers.
Me too.
So duality, the word comes from two, and the law of duality is describing that in any creation, there is aggressive and receptive. So if people have ever seen the yin yang symbol, that's a circle that has one side is dark, one side is white, and then in the black circle, there's a little dot of white. In the white circle, there's a little dot of black. That's a perfect visual representation of duality, which means that there's always a time to initiate action, which is the aggressive function, and there's time to expectantly receive, or to be expectant to allow the movement of whatever you've initiated, and that's the receptive function. So duality occurs in all kinds of ways. I mean, you might think of it in terms of certain plants that have male and female plants that are needed to pollinate, to produce fruit, for example.
Sure.
Most animals have a binary type of reproductive system. Even animals that are considered hermaphrodites, they still have both of those principles within the same animal. And people aren't even aware of how they activate that aggressive and receptive function. So think about walking. You have to take a step with one foot, and then, that's the initiating or the aggressive action. And then it follows with the other foot, where your weight lands on the other foot. And that continual motion of one step to another is a balance of aggressive, receptive, aggressive, receptive. You think about an electric current, for example, where you have positive and negative electrons. There are positive and negative ions that are in the air. It's a part of creation. So we've talked before about universal laws, understanding how they work and how to align with it. So, what does that have to do with us in our everyday life? How I align with it is thinking about, okay, is this a time for me to be aggressive, or is it a time for me to be receptive? So if I'm in a group of people, should I be initiating a conversation with this person, or should I be listening? And do I keep on listening forever, or is there a time for me to from what I've received, then initiate saying something. I mean, that's a simple example of how to think about, is this a time to be aggressive or receptive?
I think about you're reminded. So every time you share a story, I think of something that I've learned in my life, and the thing was, oh gosh, I forget the name of his book, but Bob Berg, and he's a well-known author, and he's written a lot, and certainly a speaker. And one of the things he talked about was like giving and receiving, right? And it's kind of like a breath, right? You just can't breathe in and you can't without breathing out, and vice versa. So you can't just give without receiving. You'd be shutting something off, and that wouldn't be. Is that an example of duality?
That's a perfect example.
Okay,
Both
good.
of those. I mean, breath is a perfect example. And what's interesting, Sean, is that the word spirit means breath. So if we think
didn't know that.
Yeah. So think about like the word inspiration. When people talk about being inspired, they're usually talking about creativity, but the word inspire literally means to breathe in, and expire means to breathe out. So I mean, just to have life, we need to breathe in and we need to breathe out. And I think that actually is a very good way that people can tell where they're out of balance. Like some people, if they're always giving, and then they end up feeling depleted after a while,
Sure.
it's because they're not allowing themselves to receive or to breathe in.
So would that even go back to the you mentioned ionized electrons and things like that, but that's a different type of energy. But it's like we're not recharging if we're just doing one or the other. If we're just giving all the time, we're not recharging our capacity to be able to give. And then the same thing, if we're receiving all the time, we're not recharging that ability to give.
Right. Absolutely.
Learning here.
What's interesting is that I think that when somebody is not balanced in terms of giving and receiving, it actually ends up mutating what they do. Like a person who receives all the time and doesn't give, I would say that receiving actually turns into taking. And that for someone to truly receive then means that they're moved to also give. And the kind of person who says, I give, but I end up getting taken from, after a while, their giving is not really giving. It's more like being pushy. So I think one of the ways that people can tell when and if they are balanced with giving and receiving is, do they feel nourished? Do they feel replenished? If they feel depleted, taken from, resentful, any of those things, that's a sign right there that they're out of balance one way or the other.
So even the person who's just present to all the negativity, it's like, oh, the world is falling, woe is me. It's like how did you say that? It's like they get morphed into, and like they're kind of stuck into that paradigm almost. It's like you can't even see anything except that one thing. It's like, oh, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to be a taker, even if that's just the new normal. And it's like, oh, I'm not giving or recharging in a whole new way.
Right. So if you look at young children, it seems pretty natural for them when there's something that they have received that they're excited about, they want to share it.
Sure.
So, I know parents try to teach kids how to share their toys and all of that. I think that left to their own devices, most kids pretty naturally want to share. They pick a flower and they want to give the flowers to their mom, or they have something that they're excited about and they want to talk about it. They want to share. And I think it's not limited to children, but I think in different ways, sometimes we get talked out of it or we get taught different things. So in one of the previous episodes, we talked about the universal laws of abundance and prosperity. And I think a very important element in people being abundant and prosperous is realizing that that cycle of giving and receiving is a cycle. And you don't have to be afraid of giving too much if in the process of giving, you are also receiving. So in terms of relationships, I think sometimes how people get out of balance is they think of like love or attention, that it's a thing that they give. And if I give you this much love, then you need to give me this much love. And that's not really how it works. If you're going to love somebody, the action of loving somebody is giving and receiving. If you're going to be attentive, you don't just give attention. When you give attention, you receive something through your attention. So knowing that that action itself has a balance of giving and receiving, it helps us to be much more free and open in how we express ourselves, how we have that exchange of energy within ourselves and with other people too.
You always make me think about a whole bunch of things I created before. Like a luscious, juicy, passionate, to die for relationship. Adorably cute and embarrassingly intimate. Just to die for relationship. And that's what I invented before I met Michelle some 20 odd years ago. So it's kind of interesting. The other thing that I thought about was prosperous. And as a big shout out, this is a plug for Medici now, because they're a co-sponsor. They're backing us. They're backing in our corner. That's where Jaleesa Powell, our media coordinator, is from. And she's the one actually running the show behind the scenes, making sure it gets posted, all the stuff that I don't necessarily love to do. I kind of know how to do, or sometimes I even forget to do. She's there right alongside us. And, you know, for a low monthly fee, we get to be members there and really expand our business and our understanding of how we want it to look and who we want to work with and how we want it to just, you know, be prosperous in the community and beyond. So thanks for that reminder. A little plug for Medici.
Right. And another thing with that is included in the Medici membership is the Zoom account. So we don't need to have our own Zoom account on top of Medici membership. It's all included along with the media coordinator, the administrative support, the places to store the files. It's really a wonderful, comprehensive service.
It really redefines what co-working is in the shared economy. So that's where we met, and actually we're going to get ready for Coach's Corner in just a little bit later today. So and make sure you see the plug. You see the Coach's Corner on my screen. I see it down there. You see it up here. The Coach's Corner every Thursday, 1:30 to 3. We just have a fabulous interactive conversation with people who are professional coaches or interested in becoming a professional life or business coach. And, you know, really, it's, you know, you can just sign up, Medici STL /events. I'm sure Jaleesa will put something in there in the show notes and things like that, or I will. But either way, fabulous place to learn and grow. So going back to duplicity, what else is something important? Oh, wait, give us a plug, right? I could do it, but I've been talking a lot. I want to hear your voice.
Sure.
How do people get in contact with you to either find out more about the universal laws or some of your dream work studies and things that you work on? How do they get best in touch with you?
Well, first of all, I just want to say it's the law of duality, not duplicity, just so that.
Yes, exactly what I wrote, not what I just said.
Right.
Live, uncut, and unedited.
Yep. People can reach me by email at laurel@laurelclark.com. My website is simply laurelclark.com. And if people like to use Facebook, my personal Facebook page is Laurel Fuller Clark. I also have 2 business pages, but they can find me at Laurel Fuller Clark, and that's where I post most things.
And then do you have a future class coming up?
I do have a future class coming up. I don't have the date set. So I'm actually going to be doing a series called Metaphysical Mindset, inspired by you. And
awesome.
Yep. So we'll be covering universal laws, principles of visualization, And then I also will be doing another dream class. I've been studying nighttime dreams from lots of different perspectives for more than 40 years. And they're just so valuable and offer so much guidance, wisdom, inspiration. I love to help people to understand their dreams.
Yeah, I actually was going to call you earlier or late last week. I forget where it was, but I had a dream where I was really confronted because I think it was around death, like I died. I'm like going, wait a minute. Dr. Laurel said there was something about the dreams are not necessarily what's going to happen in reality, but it's about you and what's going to be occurring in your life. And then I saw where it's like, oh, I was worried about going to the performance or the show that we saw, the movie that we saw over the weekend. And it was a drive-in movie theater, so we're socially distanced and safe that way. But I had this dream that somehow Michelle and I had like 3 versions of this dream, died. Like, but I'm like, wait a minute. If I remember what Laurel taught me, is that if this was about me, maybe it was me killing off something or letting something die that I didn't want in my life anymore. And I'm like going, oh yeah, what could that be? And there's just I see myself taking more steps around the show and all kinds of other actions. Like I was holding on to a bunch of little businesses and things like that where I didn't have my attention focus, and now I'm just moving forward with all those. So if you're at all interested in dreams, people out there, get in Laurel's connection. Just make sure you connect with her on Facebook, get into her, just shoot her an email and find out more about her, because she's profound in dream interpretation and certainly better understanding for yourself. Just one of the other many talents of Dr. Laurel Clark. Laurel, I feel like I'm a run-on sentence happening. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, first of all, good job with your dream interpretation. So I agree with you that death in a dream symbolizes a change. So if that were my dream, I would interpret it as something in me that's changing. So that's great that you did that. And I do, in addition to classes, I can also do individual dream consulting with people. I have a couple of clients and we can do it by Zoom or on phone, so they can live anywhere in the world.
Nice.
And what I would encourage people to do if they're interested in dreams is start keeping a dream journal to write them down.
Great advice. Yeah. Makes a huge difference. And then you can look back and say, oh, that was an interesting dream. And I will say, I was a little freaked out by my dream. I'm like, oh, maybe I need to up my life insurance if I'm gonna go in a couple of days. I'm like, no, that's fine. But thank you for providing that insight. It was like a foundation from the past for the future. Jaleesa, I don't want to leave you out. Did you have any questions around duality? Not duplicity, completely different word. Is there anything you have for Dr. Clark?
I didn't, but thank you again, Laurel. That's an awesome conversation.
Thank you.
Isn't that cool? I know. Awesome stuff. Well, thank you, Jaleesa, and especially thank you, Dr. Laurel Fuller Clark. You know how to get it. Everybody out there knows how to get a hold of you. I'll put that down in the show notes as well. And thank you for always being here and just providing a great radiance for the community. It's just very cool stuff.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, Jaleesa, get ready with that roll. Wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, thank you for being here. And we may not see you in person, but we'll always see you right here on social media. Thanks for watching.